What's up, everybody? It is Mosh, Josh, however the fuck you know me, and we're here, and we're gonna talk about. I know, real niche topic right now, right? But I just watched the season finale. I say just, I watched it yesterday. Good shit. I haven't had much, like, as big of an issue with the animation as everyone else has. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't been like peak animation or anything, but it hasn't been bad. There's been a couple moments where where you're just kind of like, okay, they're dragging like a fucking PNG across the backdrop or whatever, and like they didn't do it often, but they did it every now and again. I was like, that sucks a little, but overall, I thought it was passable. Would I prefer them to either somehow have a bigger budget, or if they needed to, take more time to make it all look better? Yeah, I probably would, in all honesty. But it is what it is for right now. But that last episode, you can tell they saved every last cent, every last working hour for that episode. I mean, hell, even the episode before it, the last two episodes had, but especially that last one, had some great fucking animation. And it did not disappoint. I actually saw a funny TikTok video. So it was talking about the voice actors, right? Who voiced Conquest and fucking Invincible, Mark Grayson. Both are from Walking Dead. And the voice actor for Conquest killed in Walking Dead the voice actor for Invincible, and someone said,
"Wow, if I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?"
I honestly love that meme for whatever reason. But I do think it's funny. We are here to talk about Invincible, the show versus the comics. And I'll just stop here, not stop here, I'll stop where the show stops, because one, that's as many comparisons as I can make, and two, I don't want to do any spoilers. But I'm someone who both owns and has read all 3 of these compendiums. Now, my other 2 are back home in California. These are some big fucking boys. And I'll be a little honest, my memory isn't super fresh as to everything that has happened in exact order, I should say. But I do remember most of it, and even just with a quick little look through here, I can already spot out differences, which is very interesting to me. But yeah, we can start at the differences in, like, season 1. Alright, let's do this. So, sorry, I'm staring at that instead of staring at the camera. I'm also drinking a protein shake because I haven't had no time to have protein shakes. I'm on duty right now. For those of you that don't know, I'm an RA, on duty, all that shit. Anyways, I gotta say, overall, the differences between the show and the comics aren't all that big. And the differences that they do make, I actually like more in the show than I do in the comics. And we can get into that for a few different reasons. But the biggest differences from season 1 that I can fully remember, right? And these actually have, like, impact, not like Green Ghost, who was an original member of the Guardians, being a man in the comics and being a woman in the show. That doesn't fucking matter. Green Ghost dies fucking immediately. Who gives a shit, right? Anyways. This one isn't a super big difference. It actually just caught me off guard. Because when you read later in the comics, it aligns with the show. William, from the get-go, at least from what I remembered, season 1, was a gay character. Totally fine, totally whatever. And I watched season 1 before I read the comics. This happens a lot with shit that I watch. I end up watching shit before I read the comics, but I want to get ahead. So if I really like something, I'll watch season 1, and then I'll be like, I want to know what happens next. Oh, cool, they have a manga or comic. And so I read that. That's actually what's happening with me with Dan to Dan right now. Thoroughly enjoying that, by the way. But that's not what we're here to talk about. And so I got Compendium 1, and I started reading it. And William was straight at first, and I was surprised. I don't know why. but like it worked with his character, right? How they did it in the show. And like I think he even dated in the comics Eve at one point. And so I was just a little confused. I was like, "Oh, this wasn't," because I had already heard some of the changes between the show and the comics. And so I was a little confused at first because I was like, that's not one of the changes I had heard of. And then I continued reading the comics, and then I don't remember if he like comes out or if he's just suddenly like all of a sudden he's like dating a guy. I don't fully remember. Like I said, I would need to reread Compendium 1. But then yeah, he aligns with the show, and I was just like, huh. And I don't know. I guess I don't think I cared either way, in all honesty, whether he started off as gay or went from, I guess, closeted to then being out. Oh shit. But yeah. And then another difference. This one again is kind of minor. Amber. As most people who know the comics, Amber in the comics was white, which the race change didn't have much to do with anything. I actually liked, they gave her a bit more character, actually I think a lot more character in my opinion, in the show than they did the comics. In the comics she was just like a whatever character. She was ditzy, and she just felt like a character to be in between Mark and Adam Eve, right? But in the comics, or in the TV show, she actually felt a bit more like a character. They made her actually smart, which was nice, although that was a double-edged sword, because in the comics, she wasn't oblivious to the fact that Mark like was blowing her off. But he didn't do things like not go to the soup kitchen or whatever. Like in the TV show, he would just like have to leave dates early or wouldn't show up for dates at all. And she then talks to Eve and William. And she's talking about, she's like, guys, I'm really worried about Mark, blah, blah, blah. I think he's a drug dealer. He's always getting these weird calls and leaving right away, blah, blah, blah. And while kind of funny, in the show, she puts together that she's Mark, or that she's invincible. Not she, that he's invincible, god damn it. Which, like, makes sense. If you're dating someone this closely, and then, oh, a disaster's happening. Mark leaves. And then, Invincible's at that disaster now fighting. Like, you put it together. But the reason that this was a double-edged sword was because it one, made her smarter, which I liked. But two, and the internet getting mad about this made sense in my opinion. She gave him so much flack for, like, not committing to shit. And
Oh my god.
It's okay. This is why I'm always late or why I don't show. Because I'm off saving lives or stopping some bad guys or going to Mars. I wanted to tell you so many times. Did you hear what I just said?
Ugh, I know you're a superhero.
You know? You know?
I'm not an idiot. I figured it out weeks ago.
Then why are we fighting?
We're fighting because you lied to me. You made me feel stupid and unimportant.
It's a secret identity.
And because you don't trust me.
I'm trusting you now.
Oh my god. I mean, it's cute you think that's enough.
But, Amber.
Fly away, flyboy. Or take the stairs. I really don't give a shit. I'd like to be alone.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Because I guess her whole point was that he could have at least, like, told her or something. But, like, at the same time, would you trust you're only dating right now. Your boyfriend and girlfriend, right? Like, I don't know if I would trust... I don't have a girlfriend, nor do I have powers, but if I had either, we're getting in a real fantasy here. And I mean with the girlfriend part, not me having powers. Holy shit, let's be honest here. If I had powers and, God forbid, a girlfriend, I don't know if I would tell her right away, like, yo, I'm a cool-ass superhero. I don't know if I would tell you right away, you know? I kind of try and keep that secret. I try and keep it a little bit. So that was a little frustrating. But then they still break up like they do in the comics. Very similar reason too, reveal the secret. Oh, I'm actually invincible. Okay, so yeah, I am invincible. Let's try and make this work now that you know. And then it just doesn't work because he still has to keep believing in shit. I gotta stop fucking with shit. I think other than those three differences, most of season 1 was the same. If we jump to season 2, I think season 2, the weakest season of Invincible, unfortunately. I think that also remains mostly the same. I can't remember much, like many differences while watching. I guess one of the bigger differences is when Mark goes to the comic convention and like talks to that one artist, and it's a whole like fourth wall break talking about the animation time and quality in Invincible versus in the show. That of course wasn't in the fucking comics, from what I remember. God, I wish I had I wish I had at least Compendium 2 right now to like fact check myself. It's been a minute, like I said. I think I read Compendium 3 over the summer, but I read 1 and 2 like not last Christmas, but the Christmas before last, I guess. So it's been a minute, and I've read a lot of other shit since. So I might be a little wrong here. If anyone knows and wants to call me out, feel free to. You'll probably honestly jog my memory of some shit. But yeah, I think season 2 mostly stayed the same. I think one of the only differences was that the attackers on the planet, what is it, like Thorax, where Oliver's mom's from, where Nolan goes after leaving Earth. I think one of the only differences there is that the attackers are slightly different. I think that's about it. And then season 3 is when we get into a few, I don't even want to say like key differences, but a few differences that I actually really do like. Oh, I guess another change from season 2. Sorry, I just remembered this. One, when Mark comes out with the Fortnite gun to hit Angstrom, doesn't happen in the comics, because I don't know if Fortnite was a thing when the comics were coming out, and if it was, Mark wasn't a part of it, so that's why he did that, because it's a callback to the fact, or it's a call out to the fact that he has a skin in Fortnite, which apparently had a whole niche little thing that Mark actually, I don't know how true this is, but that the thing that I've heard was that Mark actually got trapped in the Fortnite dimension somehow, and he had to win like X amount of battle royales to get out somehow. It was a little weird. It was kind of funny when I heard it. I don't know how true that is. Another difference is I don't think he ever visited DC, the DC universe, because if you remember during one of the things he's commenting on how Batman's name is Lazy. We don't actually get to see Batman. We get to see a boot, a cape, and what looks to be Gotham. And then he's like, I don't know, man. Sounds kind of lazy. So you're a man who dresses as a bat, obviously referring to Batman. That whole conversation takes place because he ends up in the Marvel universe, and he has that conversation with Spider-Man. But Amazon couldn't get the rights to Spider-Man, so he instead ended up in a knockoff version of it when we see Agent Spider fighting the knockoff version of Dr. Octopus, right? But what's funny about that is the voice actor for Agent Spider is the same voice actor for Spider-Man in the Spectacular Spider-Man TV series. So I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, so they couldn't get rights to that. But in that same vein of thought of not being able to get rights to things, they couldn't get rights to Spawn. Now, the reason they couldn't, you may not know, but Invincible isn't from Marvel Comics or DC Comics. He is from an organization called Image Comics. Now, Image Comics has a lot of different characters. Invincible is arguably their second most popular character, maybe first now because of the TV show. Their other contender for most popular character is Spawn. A really cool character. I don't know too much about him, but he is really cool, and I like him. But he was in the Invincible War. He actually fights Viltrumite Mark, not the one with the mustache though. Where Viltrumite Mark says, I killed you before, I'll kill you again. Which, if you know anything about Spawn, dude's overpowered. He became God at one point. Like I don't mean like he gained omnipotence or anything. No. He gained God's power, like he became fucking God. So obviously the Spawn that is in Prime, so the Invincible that we follow in Invincible's universe, is not the same one, because Viltrumite Mark did end up winning that fight in the comics, because I think we see him again at the end of the 3-day war. But if he's fighting Prime Spawn, I'm sorry. Mark is strong, especially near the end of the series, but even at this point in time, he's still considered strong. He's not beating Spawn. I'm sorry, he's just not. But that's not what we need to get into. So they can't. So they didn't use him there. If you notice, they used a wolf-like character called Wolfman, another Image Comics character. Now you may be asking yourself, well, wait, Joshua, if Spawn is a part of Image Comics and Invincible is from Image Comics, then why couldn't they use that? Or why couldn't they use Spawn? And that is because Image Comics works differently than Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC own the rights to all their characters. It doesn't matter who came up with them in the company, who's writing them at the time, who's drawing them at the... It doesn't matter any of that. Marvel and DC own their characters. But for Image Comics, it's a little different from my understanding. From what I know, the author, the creator of the character, owns the rights to the character in Image Comics. It's more like they're leasing their character out to Image Comics to help promote it. Or maybe not leasing, but like Image Comics is buying like temporary rights to publish their character. Because you know, it's a benefit for both. Image Comics helps to bump up manufacturing, publication, all that shit, and but they're getting a character that they think will do well. But at the end of the day, the author owns the rights. So if someone wants to make a movie, TV show, or anything, they don't approach Image Comics about that. They have to apparently approach the author. And that can cause all kinds of different issues, whether money or anything like that. So in the TV show, they fight, or Viltrumite Mark fights Wolfman instead, but in the comics he fights a variant of Spawn. Not that big of a difference. The ending is still the same. Viltrumite Mark wins and destroys one of the big cities in the world or whatever. Another difference is the inclusion of Tech Jacket. Now, Tech Jacket is another Image Comics character. His comic run, unfortunately, didn't do all that well, from my understanding. But he is an actual pretty powerful character. I'm glad they got the rights to him because he's actually pretty important later on in the series. He participates in a couple other like big events. And the big difference from his inclusion in the show to his inclusion in the comics is who he fights. So in the show, he fights Viltrumite Mark with the mustache, kills him, wins, which he should have actually, because in the comics he fights two different marks. He fights both long hair marks. They didn't include one of the long hair marks. I think they either replaced them or they were down a mark variant. I would have to count. We'll start with the comics. So we have this many. We have 16. In the show we have 15. We're down one. I think we're missing either him or him. But Tech Jacket fights this guy and kills them both actually by setting off, like overcharging his suit and basically turning himself into an explosion, kind of like what Rexplode does, which that is also the same, although if I remember correctly, that didn't take place in Team's base, that took place in a city. Not that big of a difference, just change the location. But there is something else connected to Rex that's a big change that we will get into. But he kills him and him. Yeah. Here's how many we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Some of them had slightly different character designs. So as you can see here, here's our long hair Mark. So he looks very different from both of these guys, but I think he looks closest to this guy. Just a slightly different suit. Anyway, I think this guy's the one that's missing. So we're down a Viltrumite, or we're down a Mark variant from the show to the comics. And yeah, so I'm happy though that they got the rights to Tech Jacket, it looks like. I'm very excited to see what they do with him. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of his design. I know a lot of people actually liked it. But I just wasn't... I don't know. I think compared to the comics, I just wasn't vibing with it. Okay, so that's the comic design. And then let's see the show design. I guess the show is closer than what I thought. I don't know why, but I really remember him in show. I remember him being a bit different, I guess. So this is what he looks like, God fucking damn it, in the show. He's not too different, but, I mean, there's just a loss of detail, I guess, is the biggest thing. But other than that, that's the same. Now, I guess this applies to Season 2 as well as Season 3. But we can go back to... Or, hang on. Before we get to that, sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained right now. This is actually kind of funny. So this one, Omnimark, as a lot of people call him, he actually dies in the comics versus the show. In the show, he is seen in the ending when they're all flying above Prime Mark's house. But in the comics, he was killed by a hero that uses a yo-yo. I don't know how strong this hero is. We never see this hero again. But he was strangled and had his neck broken because in the panel we see him slumped over and his neck is like here. And all that's tied around his neck is a yo-yo. So I think that's funny. But that's the biggest difference, I guess. Why isn't Tech Jacket considered super strong on Earth, even if he was able to kill 2 Viltrumites? Like, why didn't he? That is a great question. And I, very unfortunately, don't have an answer. Because even in the comics, he wasn't mentioned and he wasn't shown until the Invincible War. And so what I think happened there was that the writers for the comics, for the Invincible comics, probably were not... I don't know if they were trying or anything, but they just probably didn't have a partnership with whoever was writing Tech Jacket's comics. Or maybe even Tech Jacket wasn't a thing when that fight happened. And it also could be a case of, I don't know when Tech Jacket gets his suit, because his suit isn't man-made. This isn't like a Iron Man situation. This is more akin to a Blue Beetle situation. I don't know if you know who Blue Beetle is, but Blue Beetle is a DC Comics superhero where he gets this scarab attached to his back, and it's an alien technology that makes the suit and makes him, like, whatever he can think of, the suit builds and can become a weapon and all that. That is very similar, from my understanding at least, of what Tech Jacket is. His suit is an alien suit, and it can do... It's really strong, and he just has to kind of put his mind to it. Because when he kills the 2 Invincibles in the comics, he's like, I never tried this out, but I always thought what would happen if I overcharged my suit. And that's how he kills him. He overcharges his suit, releases a big burst of energy that I honestly thought would kill him when he did it. And I was like, damn, another sacrifice play, but he just fucking walks away from it like a badass. And fries 2 fucking marks, which is awesome. But I think it's a case of either 1, Tech Jacket wasn't created yet, or 2, and this could honestly be the same reason, and just the in-universe story. Tech Jacket hasn't gotten his suit yet. And number 3, if Tech Jacket was established as an Image Comics superhero by the time Invincible was running, they had no reason to bring him in. And so they probably just didn't think of that, or they couldn't get a deal to be like, hey, can I use your character in my series as well, kind of thing. So I couldn't tell you for sure. My guess is, in-universe, he didn't have his suit yet. I think that would be the main reason as to why he didn't fight Omni-Man, right? But yeah. So the other difference that I wanted to get into is, and this difference I actually really like, it made for a very sad moment, is the gender swap, or I guess also the sex swap, of Shrinking Ray. In the comic, Shrinking Ray is a dude, and he doesn't live past the lizard group invasion, whatever the fuck they're called. When the lizard group took over, like, the nuclear facility, right? Whatever the fuck their group is called. When Rex got shot in the fucking head and all that shit. Shrinking Ray, in the comics, did not make it past that point. He died, bam, dead, out of the comics. Now, in the show, as you may know, Shrinking Ray is a girl. And I like that not only... So when I first was reading the comics and realized that they gender swapped Shrinking Ray, I was like, once again, minor character, don't really care. It's whatever. I mean, hell, even if it was a major character, I probably still wouldn't care. But it's whatever, right? But I love that with the switch, they actually gave it purpose, right? Because in the show, Shrinking Ray develops a relationship with Rex. And so Rex already had like a character arc in both the show and the comics of he was an asshole, cheated on Eve. We learned that he has cheated multiple times, breaks up, blah blah blah, but he goes through like a character arc where he becomes a better person. And so that's what made his death in the comics sad. It was like, damn, I liked Rex, he was becoming a good friend to Mark, he was becoming a better person, but it made it even worse in the show, because now not only did he complete that character arc, not only was he a good person, he acknowledged that he was shitty, and he's changing his leaf, but now he's starting a healthy relationship with Shrinking Ray. And then he explodes himself to take out a fucking variant Mark, which honestly, what a power move. Fucking hell. Go him. But I actually like that they did something with the gender swap change, gave another character relationship, and made that death just a bit more impactful in my opinion. It made it really sad. Yeah, no, what a real one indeed, Michael. What a fucking real one. Not like the fucking fraud that is Immortal. Fucking dude can't even beat a variant Mark. Darkwing has to sacrifice himself by trapping both him and variant Mark in the Shadow Realm, which apparently, by the end of in Image Comics, only 3 other people can access. So we don't have a confirmed death on that variant Mark, although the Invincible comics are over. So I'm assuming he's dead. I don't think he'll ever appear in Image Comics, but technically other things do live there, and there is a possibility that that variant Mark could be alive in that realm. Just fucking shit up, conquering shit if he's really strong comparative to everything else in there. But yeah. But no. The fraud, Immortal, and fucking useless ass Duplicate retire, go start a family, while our glorious king, Rexplode, had to kill himself, but he took out a goddamn Invincible with him. Fucking hell. But yeah, that's a big change that I actually really liked. And like I said at the beginning of this, most of the changes from the show to the comics, I like. I think they do good shit. But then, the other change, the most recent change, the fight between Conquest and Mark. There wasn't a lot of big shit that was changed here, in all honesty. Some of the changes that I did like, if memory serves, in Compendium 2, the fight between Conquest and Immortal, or not Immortal, Immortal would get fucking torn apart. That would be no fucking contest. That fucker is lucky he retired when he did. Anyways, no, the fight between Conquest and Mark, if I remember correctly from the comics, takes place solely in the city. Like, the city that he arrives at. Don't get me wrong, that city gets fucking leveled. that thing is non-existent by the end of that fight. But in the show, they go like to several different places. They go to a whole nother city, they go to a coastline, they go to fucking, I don't think it was actually outer space, I think it was technically the upper atmosphere, like at the whatever the uppermost of our atmosphere is called, because I watch with subtitles. I don't know why, I do, I like them. And in the subtitles it said Conquest panting. I think both Mark and Conquest were like doing that, which you couldn't do in space. The Viltrumites have to hold their breath in space. But so that was one change. Another change also that happened in space, and I fucking loved it. And I love all the edits that are coming out with it on TikTok.
Taking a chance cause I like you a lot, so I'll give it a shot. Give it all that I got. La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-dee. Suddenly you call my name and I lose my brain and I float up to the moon. La-di-da-di-dee, la-di-da-di-da.
It's hilarious. I fucking love it. The other change, I think it's a change at least. Someone can call me out on this. I don't know if anyone's watching that has read the comics. But I believe the little speech that Conquest gives to Mark before he gets fucking nearly atomized by fucking Adam Eve when he thinks he's gonna kill Mark.
I am so lonely. All the other Viltrumites are scared of me. No one talks to me. No one wants to be my friend. They think I am unstable. They send me from planet to planet committing atrocities in their name. And as I get better at it, they fear me more and more. I am a victim of my own success. Conquest. I don't even get a real name, only a purpose. I am capable of so much more, and no one sees it. Some days I feel so alone I could cry, but I don't. I never do. Because what would be the point? Not a single person in the entire universe would care. Take it to your grave.
Like, all very sad, and I actually like that they did that to his character. No, that is a change. I know that's a change. I know for a fact that's a change, actually. I like that they did that. It gives Conquest a little bit more depth. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't make me feel bad for him, right? It's not like, oh, poor Conquest. How could they do this to him? No, it's like, no, the fucker's evil. He's a maniac. But it does give him just a bit more depth that I like. And then also, in that depth, it still makes him fucking psychotic. Because, like, he's telling this to the fucker he's about to kill, and he's like, you're gonna take this to the grave with you. That's the only reason I'm telling you. Someone pointed this out, and I didn't realize it until they pointed it out, and I was like, I didn't rewatch the fight, but I saw clips of the fight again, and I was rethinking of the fight in the comics. Conquest? He doesn't dodge, parry, or block. That fucker just takes a hit. I think the only time he went to kind of block was against Adam Eve's, like, energy blast when she had her limiters removed. I think that's the only time he kind of went to block, and even then, he just kind of fucking tanked that shit, and then he moved out of it because he realized, I shouldn't be tanking this shit. But I think that also just makes him a little bit more unhinged. He wants to get hit, you know? But no, I like that little speech that he gives to Mark. I think it, one, makes him look just a little bit more psychotic, but it also just gives him a bit more depth, makes him just a little bit more sad. Of like, damn, you know, is this fucker still evil? Is he horrifying? Would I be terrified to see this dude in front of my house? Yes, I don't want to say there's no ounce of sympathy, but the amount of sympathy I have is very small comparative to what he's actually done. But that's why I like it. It doesn't... There is something to be said about a character that is just balls to the wall evil, right? He's either batshit crazy, or he's just fucking evil for being evil. But, I don't know. I also like a character that has, you know, just a bit more to him than I'm just evil. Because that is a little, in my opinion, that's a little hard to do and get right. But, yeah, so I like that little speech. But I think those are the biggest differences, in all honesty, that I can think of. I like the fact, like I said, that in the show, the fight between Conquest and Mark moved out of the city that they started in and moved all around. One, it makes the characters feel a lot more powerful, which I like, because they are very strong characters. And then it also... I think that's all it does for me, in my opinion. But it was also just nice to see the scene keep changing. But besides just the comics being in this very gray, like different shades of gray city, basically. I think the only other difference I can think of right now, and again, I like how the show does this better. Okay, so season 2, wow, I think this just shows that season 2 it's still a decent season, but it's their worst season because I forgot so much from it, right? When Mark gets trapped on that desert planet, which I still have a question about that, and I can pose here in a second, but right now we're comparing show and comics. I'll get to that question in a minute, if I fucking remember. But when Mark is stranded on the desert planet after his first encounter, or like his first big fight with Angstrom Levy, and then an older version of Rudy, Adam Eve, and all of them come through the gate to rescue and send Mark back. And then Adam Eve tells him, you know, the same thing that she tells him in the show, you know, I love you, I always have, and then she's like, tell her. In the comics, when Amber and Mark are broken up, Adam Eve, it's not like immediately, But a short time after, Mark is still attending college because she busts into his dorm room, and is like, Mark Grayson, are we dating or what? In the comics. And so he says yes, because I mean, first off, it's Adam Eve. Why the fuck would you say no to that shit? I mean, goddamn. Anyways, no, let's back on track. Anyways, but he doesn't tell her right away about what happened in the alternate dimension with the older Adam Eve. But in the show, hang on, let me finish the thought on the comic. Sorry, I think it's part of my ADHD. I get so scatterbrained. I want to keep jumping to different points. And so in the comics, she later finds out. I don't know if Mark let it slip or if Mark was like, hey, this has been eating at me, but she finds out. Mark does eventually tell her. And this pisses her off because it makes her think, so are you only getting with me to like appease me or something? Like, do you actually like me or whatever? Which is like a fair thing because, once again, very fictional here. If I ever had a girlfriend and she told me the only reason she's dating me right now, or if she told me like, yeah, future version, blah, 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 same situation, I would have the same thoughts of like, well, shit, are you only dating me because a future me was so desperate and was like, I'm still in love with you that you're pity dating me? Like, I'd have this, I couldn't blame Eve. But it did that annoying thing when two characters that you know are supposed to be together, because they're going to end up together. Like the comics, the show, it's all setting them up for that. And you're like, I know you're going to get back together, but this has just broken them apart for an annoying reason. That's all that did. That's all that fucking did in the comics. And it was very annoying. But in the show, they tackle it right away. I think they confess their feelings, and then Mark does tell her. Which was like a little cringy when Mark does tell her, but I'm so glad because they got over it immediately. She like they discussed it. The Doc Seismic thing happened, and Eve just admits that the reason she dislikes it the most is because she couldn't get over for like 20 years or some shit. She didn't get over a fucking crush, which yeah, to be fair, that's a little sad. But in the show, they get over it so fast, and they're like, all right, let's fucking do this. Let's date. And, oh my god, I like that so much better because we didn't have to go through the annoying phase of, like, they're dating, oh no, that slips, and now they're not dating again. And it was just fucking annoying. I hated that in the comics. I'm so glad they changed it in the show. Okay. I think that's everything. I think I'm done. I don't think I can think of any, nothing else is gonna pop into my mind sporadically. I don't think, at least. I make no promises, though. My mind is very interesting sometimes. It'll just, something will happen in, spontaneous memory of, oh yeah, by the way. But I think those are all the differences, major or minor, that are between the show and the comics as of right now. I'm very interested to see how the show progresses. Every other change has had no negative impacts on the show. It's all been positive, in my opinion. It's all either been no change or positive. So yeah, I think that is my my rant for Invincible. We can all move on with our lives. I forgot to record an outro, so you get one now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a good time and found this somewhat informative. Don't be scared to leave a comment on anything I'm wrong about or any questions. But yeah, please like and subscribe for more. Hopefully I'll be more consistent at this. Bye-bye.